And I think it's a wonderful innovation that makes the boat more versatile for people who struggle in heavy air.
Okay, so here we have Steve Honour, the inventor of the Honour Reef, who I spoke to Emily Wagner a little bit, and she actually said this is probably one of the most clean reefing systems to use on a sunfish right now. Why would you want a reef?
Oh, well, gosh, if you're a lightweight sailor and you're in heavy air, then when it gets above 25, for instance, you're going to have a lot of trouble holding the boat down. So being able to take a tuck in the sail really makes a big difference. It makes the boat easier to handle, and you're able to go upwind. When the thing's all reefed and you're on the gens and you got your gooseneck back and you're sitting up there on the rail, it almost feels like a big keel boat. You just steer it upwind. You really don't have to hike that hard. It depowers everything. It's fantastic.
Okay. Now show me what you have here.
All right, so it's on the full hoist setup right now, and this is the uphaul line. And it goes inside all the sail loops all the way up, except for the last two at the bottom. I like to keep it outside.
Okay.
You'll see why in a moment.
So this is something different. This is an uphaul.
So the uphaul line.
So an uphaul means it pulls the sail up?
Yeah.
Okay. Is this adjustable?
Well,
while you're sailing?
I hesitate to say the word adjustable because you're only allowed to have 2 adjustable sail controls.
Right, that's what I'm
So
getting
I
at.
prefer to call this selectable because you don't really have a cleat and you can't adjust it infinitely. You can select positions. Now,
but can you select it while sailing?
No.
Okay, so it's fixed.
It's something that it's tied.
Yes.
And you just have it's tied with a loop, and you have several loops, and you can put them on a hook.
Okay.
And so you can pick which loop you want on the hook.
Okay.
So you do have some control over how much tension you have in your luff, but you have to select that between races. You can't do this during a race.
Or just in recreational sailing when you want to go out when it's 15 to 25, whatever. Now, so usually when you tie your sail up to the top, you have a line that ties the sail. So you don't have one of those. You have...
Well, I got one. It's just real long.
It's really long. Okay, so this is your head sail tie basically, and it runs all the way to the top.
It does a 2-to-1 at the top.
Okay.
And it's tied off up there. And then the 2-to-1 and the tail of it comes all the way down inside all the loops, right down to here. And then the trick is the S hook is left open.
Okay. So you use an S hook.
So this is a standard issue S hook. And I just leave it open, and that way the loop can come off of it.
Oh, so this is not like the bottom one here.
So it's tied in a bowline, but it's a loose enough so you can put it right on there if you want.
So the bottom of the S hook is tight. This is, I'm going to show it on this side. I'm going to edit all this.
Okay.
So the bottom of the S hook is...
It's pinched.
It's pinched.
It's pinched close.
So you take what, pliers or something, or something to widen it.
You leave
so
the other
now
end
you have a hook over
open.
here. Okay.
And then when you take this off of here, now it's pre-tied down here at the eye bolts.
Okay. This is the end.
Yeah, that's the end, and it's tied at such a distance so that when you let it completely out, and then you pull on the Cunningham.
All right, so it pulls the luff tight.
Goes all the way down.
Okay.
To the tack.
Okay.
So now you're in the reef situation. You're in the reef configuration.
So if you could see that there's a lot more, the head of the sail is lower than it previously was. Okay. And then you tighten the Cunningham, and now you have this reef that you see on traditionally big boats.
Exactly. This is my Cunningham right here. And when it really gets tight, it's just the right distance, so these grommets will just almost touch each other. When everything's really tight, and you can see you're getting a curl in the luff here, which in heavy air you want.
So these grommets are not together. How far can you get these grommets?
Well, when everything gets wet and you take a few waves, then it seems to loosen up a little bit, and so you're able to pull it even tighter as the wind stretches everything, and it eventually gets down there grommet to grommet.
Okay.
So you've got this tuck in the bottom of the sail, and then when you pull the outhaul, then that just turns into a curl along the boom. So now, if you back up here, you can see the sail is smaller.
See this curl here?
Step back over here and get a whole shot of it. You can see that the sail is smaller.
Yeah.
And it's not as far up there. So it's lower down. And that makes it easier to hold down when you're hiking.
All right, so after you pull down the Cunningham, it pulls the head down. It puts this luff into a curl, and then you get this excess here, and then you have to pull on the outhole.
Yeah, you want to pull on the outhole because you don't want it baggy down here.
Okay, so now you're tightening up the outhole, and you want to tighten up your outhole even if you don't have a reef, and when it's really. So now you could see it's really flat. It looks flat, and the surface area is smaller.
Right.
Do you have to put the gens in?
Well, here's the trick. Since all of the sail loops are going to slide down on the spar,
Okay.
you have to have your halyards tied in a normal position where they're just above a sail loop. Now, that's
Just above the sail loop,
That's
okay.
different from what you ordinarily do because you generally want your halyard just under a sail loop.
Uh-huh.
But if you had that, then what's going to happen is the sail loop is going to hang up.
Okay.
Where the halyard is tied.
All right. So how does that
So
affect you when you're regularly sailing?
You need to decide before you raise your sail whether you're going to want to be able to reef or not.
Okay.
Because if you want to reef, then you have to slide your halyards down.
Okay.
And that's easy if you're using the Hankster 2 knot.
Okay.
Because the Hankster 2 knot, it allows you to push it on the spar.
Oh, interesting.
But then as soon as it pulls up tight, then it's not going to slip.
Okay, and I made a video about the Hankster too, so you could look
I went
at
to
it.
school on that video.
There
and
you
I
go.
learned that knot and I incorporated it into this rig.
Okay, very good. And then if you kept it at regular racing distances, it would get hung up.
Yeah, it would get hung up.
Where would it get hung up?
It would get hung up on the upper halyard.
Oh, okay.
So
You only have one halyard right now?
I've got 2 halyards on.
Oh, you do. Okay.
You're going to use this when you're on the gents because it's going to be blowing anyway.
Right. So you want both.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you have these selectors. All right. So this is fully on. You're not using these as selectors.
Right.
This is when you're sailing normally.
Yeah, those are for.
So now your cunning's full on, and it lightens up, and you want to go regular rig. What do you do?
Okay. So then what you're going to do?
Now this is on the water while you're between races or resting.
You're going to need to let your Cunningham out. All right. I got slack in the Cunningham.
Do you have to go up to the bow for this?
Yeah. You need to crawl up to the bow between races, and you both got to be idling.
So you're going to be luffing your sail.
Yeah, you're going to be luffing, and I like to do this on port tack. I have it all set up to be on the port side.
Okay.
So you're going to be idling, and you get slack in your Cunningham. And then you're going to take this up haul and just pull on it, and the sail's going back up.
Okay.
And then you can pick which one of these knots you want to put on the hook. And boom, you're in normal mode again.
Which one do you usually do? The second one?
Yeah, the second one works pretty good. You can tie them anywhere you want, so that's a personal preference kind of thing. And you can have them as close together as you like.
What kind of knots are these?
These are bowlines.
These are these are bowlines.
They're just bowlines.
Okay.
That's 2mm Dyneema
Can I see something here?
rope.
Can I take this off?
Sure.
Okay, so
Yeah, pull down a little bit. That'll come
all
off.
right, so now from the end of this to here, what's the measurement? Is that like 10 inches?
That's about the distance to the grommet.
Oh, okay. So you got from here to here, it's a distance of the grommet, then you got about an inch,
About an inch between.
inch and a half, an inch and a half, or whatever.
And
So
since
this,
it's a 2 to 1, then that turns it into a half of what the sail moves.
okay. Could you hold this? Can you film me?
But of course, yeah.
All right, so I'm on the bow. Wow, that's pretty easy. Except I'm going to be on the back.
Yeah, once you put some McLube spray on the spar and all the sail ties, then it slides pretty easy.
Now, did you ever have an experience where this comes off the S hook?
I have never. I wondered if that would happen, but once you get loaded up and you're sailing, it's going to stay tight.
Cool.
It doesn't come off. I've never had it come off.
Huh. And then this doesn't go back to the cockpit. It's just here.
No, it just hangs there.
That is fascinating.
Thank you.
And then, all right, so your adjustments are the Cunningham
Yeah.
and the outhaul.
And the outhaul.
And this is your head sail tie.
That's my selectable uphaul.
It's a head sail tie, which you cannot
Yeah.
change on the while you're
Yeah,
sailing.
it's tied.
It's just really
it doesn't
long.
have a cleat.
Did this measure in for North Americans?
Yeah, it measured in for the Worlds and the North Americans.
Nice. Excellent.
Now, they didn't look at it. I didn't point it out, but it was on the boat when it measured in. They had every chance to look at it.
I don't see where there could be any controversy. That's really
I
fantastic.
don't think it breaks any rules, and I think it's a wonderful innovation that makes the boat more versatile for people who struggle in heavy air.
Have you used this in heavy air?
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, I used it in the Nationals, and it was blowing 30 miles an hour
Wow.
in that last race of the first day. And you were there, and you know, most of the
Yeah.
fleet either capsized or dropped out.
Right.
But I sailed every race in that regatta, and I knew if I just got around the course
Right.
in that first day and all those races, it would automatically put me in the top third of the regatta. I ended up 16th place
That's great.
out of 80 boats.
Because you kept the boat
in the
upright.
Nationals, because I just sailed around the course.
This is great.
It
So,
was a survival.
yeah.
I wasn't trying to beat anybody.
Yeah. So this is great, Steve. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section down below for the Honour Reef, where this is a really important change that could let people who need to depower their rig in 15 to 20 knots of wind or even higher. This is fantastic. Thanks a lot,
Sailed
Steve.
it in 30-mile-an-hour winds, and you can see the halyard positions. Now that we're on the full hoist,
Uh-huh.
the
Oh,
halyards
yeah.
are tied just above sail loops.
Okay.
That's important because that allows the reefing
Above
thing to work.
sailors. Okay.
Now all the sail loops can slide down and they don't get stuck by a halyard.
Interesting. Cool. So if you like this content, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. Really appreciate it. Let's thank Steve Honour for showing us the Honour Reef System with Emily Wagner, who's been experimenting with the reefing systems. She said that this is probably the cleanest system that she's come across.
A lot of people have been experimenting with it. I've been doing this for about a year,
Yeah.
and everyone I've shown it to has loved it,
All right.
and it's taken off.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. There's Steve Honour. Congratulations.
Thank you, Lee.
Thanks.
Take care.